The museum was unusually quiet that evening, so quiet that Armin wondered if the security guards had forgotten to unlock a section, or maybe the winter night had scared away the usual visitors. He entered the Hall of Commanders with slow steps, his eyes tracing the enormous oil paintings that stretched across the ceiling like memories frozen in strokes of color. His heart pounded with a strange anticipation. This was the room he had been waiting to explore for months, ever since he decided to create a documentary on the world's 100 greatest generals. He expected to find inspiration here, maybe a few notes, maybe a spark of creative truth. But what he found instead was something no book, no historian, no battlefield photograph could have prepared him for. The hall was dim, lit only by narrow beams of golden light coming from the high windows. Rows of statues made of bronze and black marble stood silently, each carved with detail. The stern jawline of Napoleon Bonaparte, the flowing robes of Saladin, the proud armor of Alexander the Great, the cold eyes of Hannibal Barca. Armin felt their presence as if they were watching him. As he walked deeper, the warmth in the air changed. The lights flickered once, twice. Then the entire hall darkened into a deep silence, as though the building itself was holding its breath. Suddenly the lights glowed again, but this time softer, almost candle-like. A shimmer rose from the statues, thin, glowing threads that swirled like smoke before taking shape. The bronze shell peeled off Alexander, revealing him not as a statue, but as a living figure, tall, youthful, his armor glistening like molten gold. Armin staggered back, gripping a pillar. Alexander's eyes, sharp, bright, almost electric, locked onto his. "You came seeking greatness," Alexander said, his voice echoing from every direction. "Let us show you what greatness truly looks like." Without warning, the air tore open behind Alexander. A battlefield vision burst forth. Armies clashing under a red sky, spears glinting, phalanxes moving like iron walls. Armin found himself standing at the edge of the battle, though he remained invisible. Dust swept across his face as thousands of soldiers marched forward following Alexander's command. Horses neighed, shields thundered, war cries rose into the heavens. Alexander stepped beside Armin, watching the scene with a calm intensity. "Fear," he said quietly, "as the first enemy a general must conquer. Victory begins where fear ends." His words felt ancient, deeper than the sound of war crashing around them. The vision dissolved into golden dust, and from it emerged Saladin, stepping forward with the grace of a sage. His eyes were kind, steady, full of wisdom. Behind him unfolded the landscapes of the Crusades, armies marching, battles raging, wounded men lying in the sands of Jerusalem. Yet Saladin's presence was neither violent nor boastful. "A true general," Saladin said gently, "wins with mercy." Scenes appeared where he protected his enemies, granted safety to civilians, and refused to shed unnecessary blood. Even in the chaos of war, he carried compassion like a shield. Armin felt a strange warmth, a feeling he had never associated with warfare. Then the air cracked like a drumbeat as Khalid bin Walid appeared. His presence was fiery, urgent, commanding. Desert winds swirled around him, carrying visions of rapid cavalry charges, shifting formations, and lightning-fast strategies that broke empires in days instead of years. "Adapt," Khalid's voice boomed. "Move faster than your enemies fear. Think sharper than their arrows." The desert battles grew sharper, louder, more intense. Armin felt the weight of strategy pressing against his chest. The vision shattered into floating maps as Napoleon Bonaparte stepped forward, his silhouette framed by swirling diagrams of battle formations. Lines moved, armies folded, maneuvers shifted like living creatures obeying his fingertips. "A general fights first with his mind," Napoleon said. "The battlefield is only the final chapter of a plan written long before the first shot is fired." Maps expanded into entire continents, showing how a single decision could change the world. The ground rumbled as Hannibal Barca appeared last, mountains rising behind him and snow falling like drifting ashes. Armin watched elephants march through frozen peaks, soldiers fighting frost as much as enemies. Hannibal's voice was deep and resolute. "Greatness," Hannibal said, "is doing what others fear to dream." His elephants charged through snowstorms, his army cutting across impossible terrain. Then everything stilled. The visions dissolved. The generals stepped back, their forms fading into bronze again. The hall brightened, returning to its quiet museum glow. Armin stood motionless, overwhelmed, changed in ways he could not understand. He realized then that his documentary could not simply list the 100 greatest generals. It must capture the wisdom he had seen, the essence of courage, strategy, mercy, speed, and daring. He walked out of the museum into the cool night air with the feeling that he had witnessed something sacred, not just history, but the spirit behind history itself. The sun was sinking behind the rolling hills as Sarah arrived at the wide valley that stretched like a sleeping battlefield beneath the orange sky. This place was legendary among historians, though many doubted the stories whispered about it. They said that on certain nights, when the wind moved a certain way, the valley echoed not with sound but with memories of the greatest commanders who had ever lived. Sarah, a young historian with a thirst for truth, wanted to experience this myth for herself. She set down her backpack, opened her camera kit, and took a slow breath. The valley felt ancient, older than every war that had ever scarred its soil. She scanned the distance, shadows long, grass trembling gently, the sky glowing like a burning map. She felt a pull, something calling her deeper into the valley. She followed it. As she stepped into the center, the air thickened. A low rumble crawled under the earth. Her camera screen flickered. The wind grew colder, twisting around her like invisible hands. Then the mist rose, swallowing the ground, shaping itself into a vast circle around her. From within that mist, faint silhouettes emerged, then clearer, then unmistakably human. She gasped. A massive war council was forming around her. Figures stepped out from the haze. Julius Caesar with his proud Roman armor, Subutai, the Mongol mastermind with calm calculating eyes, Tokugawa Ieyasu in shimmering samurai armor, Frederick the Great with his sharp Prussian posture, Musa ibn Nusair, his presence strong and commanding, Tariq bin Ziyad with his fiery determination, Baji Rao astride a spectral horse, and dozens more, until the entire valley felt alive with centuries of military genius. They formed a circle, silent at first, as if waiting for something. The air vibrated with their power. Suddenly the ground between them lit up, revealing glowing maps stretching across the valley floor. Rivers of light formed borders. Lines representing armies shifted, clashed, and reformed. Cavalry thundered across ghostly plains. Cannons boomed in silent echoes. Strategies unfolded like living creatures, some elegant and precise, others chaotic but brilliant. Sarah watched battles from every age happening at once. Roman legions locking shields, Mongol horse archers firing while galloping, medieval knights charging, Ottoman infantry aligning, Indian Maratha cavalry sweeping across plains. It was a tapestry of strategy and human ambition. Caesar stepped forward first, his voice calm but echoing like distant thunder. A general is measured by victories, he said, but rarely do they measure the burden we carry. Behind him, visions showed the weight of leadership, the doubt, the sleepless nights, the fear buried deep inside even the greatest commanders. Subutai approached next. He raised his hand, and the map shifted into an enormous web of attack routes across continents. A battle is won before it begins, he said. Strategy is the wind that shapes the world long before the soldiers take the field. Sarah saw him pointing to imaginary lines in the sky, lines that represented paths of conquest and masterpieces of planning. Frederick the Great spoke of discipline, of drilling armies until they became instruments of precision. Tokugawa spoke of patience and the wisdom of waiting for the right moment. Musa ibn Nusair spoke of unity. Baji Rao of speed. Each general added a new piece to the mosaic of greatness. Then Tariq bin Ziyad stepped forward, his eyes glowing with the fire of a man who had crossed oceans with nothing but faith and determination. He looked directly at Sarah. History, he said, remembers our victories but forgets what we sacrificed for them. Behind him, she saw soldiers leaving families, people risking everything for causes bigger than themselves. Suddenly, a young figure emerged from the mist, unknown, unrecognized, without armor or crown. Sarah realized he represented not the past, but the future. The young general stood before her and spoke words that cut through the valley like a rising dawn. Your world will have its own leaders, he said. But greatness no longer lies in conquering lands. It lies in guiding people toward a better horizon. Led with wisdom, not with war. The wind roared. The generals slowly faded, their ghostly forms dissolving into mist. The glowing maps evaporated like morning fog. The valley returned to silence, as if nothing had happened. Her camera had recorded none of it, but her mind had recorded everything. Sarah packed her equipment, her hands trembling. She came searching for history, but she had found a message. Her book would not simply list 100 of the greatest generals. It would tell the world what they truly stood for, not conquest, but responsibility. And as she walked out of the valley, she felt the wind whisper behind her, like applause from 1,000 forgotten heroes.